Welcome back to a jello-legged greenhorn photo taker. We finally made it to Mt Tammany. Okay, this was a close one. Pulling in, the base of the valley was decked in with fog, and I really questioned whether or not enough would lift by the time we got to the summit. But as you can see behind me, I would say the conditions are near perfect for showing how beautiful Mt Tammany summit is. There are actually several great lookouts. The first one was completely decked in with fog. Wouldn't have counted towards the final vista calculation anyway, but I wanted to show it. So here's some footage of previous visits to that first lookout. The second one I skipped for now. I really wanted to get to the summit, to this spot, before other people were here. So we'll visit that on the way back down. Again though, that should not count towards the final calculation of what we think the best vista, trail vista in New Jersey is. The trek up here is always difficult. It took me about 50 minutes, maybe stopping once or twice for a picture or a quick video. I know, Kay, you're trying to do it in 30 minutes. God bless you. If you can do that, that's amazing. Very steep. I have a love-hate relationship with the trail. It is truly one of the most beautiful trails in New Jersey, and it's one of the most challenging trails, if not the most challenging trails. So you would think it would be something that most avid hikers would love. But honestly, unless you are there early morning on a weekday like today, it is so crowded with people that aren't normally hikers. So the solitude and the trail etiquette, it just doesn't make for a fun hike, at least for me. So this is magical. Even with a heavy pack, I was enjoying the trip up because I had it to myself, and the conditions were truly remarkable. There are a few rock scrambles. In fact, I'm not even going to discuss it much any further. I once did a what makes this hike great video. Check that out above if you want to find out more about the overall hike itself. So my goodness, the cloud inversion that occurs in the Delaware very often is just so, I don't know. I feel like this place should be crowded with people just to see it. I went for a time lapse up in Cliff Park a couple days ago, and the inversion did not occur. So of course, when I'm not expecting it here on the day for Tammany, it is just spectacular. So the viewpoint at I'll call it the true summit, is less than 90 degrees, probably 75 degrees. And I don't know, a third of that is blocked by foliage. But in a moment, we'll climb down to the bottom of the rock face here. I think it's here. And that, if I believe, has a much more expansive view, even though it's not at the summit. But this is all considered part of the summit area to me. So it'll all count towards the final calculation. Across the way is Mount Mincy on the Pennsylvania side. It has several quality views as well, looking out at Tammany, but nothing near as open as what we're seeing now. So Tammany is definitely the better hike for views. So in a minute, we'll walk down this rock face, and I believe right next to that tree, it looks like it's a sheer edge, but it's not. There's a little standing spot down below, right past that tree. Of course, the road noise of Route 80 is the biggest detriment here. Now, we can't see Route 80 right now because of the fog, but normally there is a view that includes all of Route 80 as it winds around the Delaware Water Gap. And I guess I should have said that earlier. This is the actual Delaware Water Gap. So yeah, once you come down here, you can see how much more expansive it is. I would think we're looking at something like 160 degrees, maybe a little bit higher, but in that ballpark. The rock scramble on the way down is difficult. For me, I had to scoot down on my rear end for sure. Whether it was the backpack or my wobbly legs from the climb up, I was not sure-footed and felt that I needed that extra handhold. The way back up will definitely be easier. The way back down, or the way down, I definitely struggled a bit. So I do think it's doable for most people, for sure. So give it a shot. The view down here is absolutely worth the extra work you put in. Okay, let's talk about the rankings here. So in my mind, this view is the quintessential single iconic view of New Jersey for hiking. Anyone who hikes will know this view immediately. That, I'll call it a striation along Mount Mincy, is distinctive and unique, and you can spot it from miles away coming down Route 80. So this is an iconic New Jersey hiking spot. Absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts. The rest of the area has some man-made structures, like you can see it all throughout the distance on the Pennsylvania side. Not urban, some farms, some dotted houses. I can see a radio tower or two. The biggest thing that I can't see right now, which is the biggest problem with this view, is Route 80, which is a major interstate artery that goes from New York to San Francisco, and millions of cars use it each year. And I'm sure you can hear the road noise in the background. So that is the biggest detractor by far the biggest detractor from this Mt Tammany viewpoint. But it is so wonderful. If you can tune this out, I think it would be the best view in New Jersey. There's just too much magic with it. Just in comparison to Pinwheel Vista and Raccoon Ridge, which I think will be the other top, two that round out the top three. Those are awesome views, but they're awesome views of normal ridges and valleys. It doesn't have a single, unique eye point that the eye catches and gravitates towards like this spot does. And that's a plus. That really is a plus for a viewpoint, just like it's a plus for a picture. You want to be able to see that specific attraction point. And man, does Tammany have it. Another negative I would say is the landing area is so crowded with people. There is graffiti here, which is rather annoying. And something I'd rather not have to deal with. But that's part of the issue with being in a popular spot, accessible by a major interstate, right? This place gets tons of visitors each year. Garbage is left behind, but there's that graffiti. It just sucks. Man, look at that fog right here come rolling down the face of Mount Mincy and then merge with the other stuff, with the other fog. That's so cool. Here is the view of the river where the fog is now dissipating. Driving up, this whole area was still decked in with fog. So in the moment, I am mesmerized and feel like calling this the #1 lookout in New Jersey. I honestly cannot believe I have this trail to myself right now. It is a weekday in September around 9:30. Another positive to think on is this viewpoint has both extremely long views in the distance, right? Basically as far as the eye can see, plus something very pronounced and prominent right in the foreground. You can now see Route 80 a bit as the fog continues to dissipate. And I can safely say, even though I can see the river there, I would rather the fog than those green signs along Route 80. Ugh. So we're actually watching the fog completely dissipate right before our eyes. I've been here, my goodness, 45 minutes maybe? And look how much that fog just dissipated on us. So what do you think of Mt Tammany? It has a chance at the #1 spot, doesn't it? Road noise is the biggest detriment, and you can say the crowds are, but at least for today, it worked out for me. Thanks for watching. Get out and explore.